A Mesopotamian goddess who started out as a city goddess before leveling up to become goddess of fertility and later mother goddess to all of Sumer. A beacon of hope whose role, while prominent, was often overshadowed by other deities in the Mesopotamian Pantheon. Nonetheless, however, according to Sumerian folklore, we wouldn't be here without her. Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Pantheon Mythology. Today, we'll be exploring the life and background of the mother goddess of Sumer, Ninhursag. Ninhursag is one of the 7 Sumerian deities in Mesopotamian mythology, known as Anunnaki, and children to primordial deities Ki and An. A majestic lady of heaven, Ninhursag was known as the nourisher of kings, on the belief that ancient Sumerian kings were kept well fed by her milk. Only a minute or so in and things have already turned weird. Gotta love mythology, right? Prior to motherhood, Ninhursag went by the name Ninmar, meaning magnificent queen. It was only when her son Ninurta created the mountains that he decided to change his mother's name to what we know it as today. In fact, Nin can be translated to lady in the ancient Sumerian language, while Hursag was a sacred mountain where she was worshipped, and when combined make up Ninhursag, meaning lady of the sacred mountain. All makes sense now. She also went by the names Damgalnuna, Damkina, Shasuru, and Tabsut Ili, each reflecting a different role she played in her life. Before adopting the role of mother goddess, Ninhursag was the goddess of fertility in the city of Malgam, and went by the names Damalguna and Damkina, married to a miner of god associated with the underworld with whom she had 3 children, Aski, Lisin, and Lil. So popular was she, and her milk so delicious probably, that in time the people of Sumer began to worship her as the mother goddess of the land, essentially retiring Namu, the previous one, the poor dear. This was not an unusual practice for the Mesopotamian people, however, as mother figures were worshipped for centuries at a time, with the reign of Ninhursag starting around 2600 BC. Another of her early names, Ki or Kishar, identifies her as Mother Earth. She was often invoked by mothers as she was thought to form and care for the child in the womb and provide food after he or she was born. Ninhursag is considered one of the 4 creating deities in Sumerian religious belief, along with Anu, Enlil, and Enki, and is frequently mentioned in many of the most important Mesopotamian myths. Yes, I'm aware her origin stories are all over the place, but speaking of stories, the tale of Enki and Ninhursag is perhaps one of the most iconic from Mesopotamian mythology. Be warned though, my friends, as things are about to get incestuous with a sprinkle of adultery. Hey, it wouldn't be mythology without it, right? The Sumerian myth, Enki and Ninhursag, tells the story of the beginning of the world in the Garden of Paradise known as Dilmun. Ninhursag, depicted as a young and vibrant goddess, has retired for the winter to rest after her part in creation. Enki, god of wisdom, magic, and fresh water, finds her there and falls deeply in love with her. They spend many nights together, wink wink, and Ninhursag becomes pregnant with a daughter they name Ninsar, Lady of Vegetation. Ninhursag blesses the child with abundant growth, and she matures into a woman in 9 days. When spring comes, Ninhursag must return to her duties of nurturing living things on Earth and leaves Dilmun, but Enki and Ninsar remain. Enki misses his love terribly, and one day sees Ninsar walking by the marshes and believes her to be the incarnation of Ninhursag. He seduces her, and she becomes pregnant with a daughter, Ninkura, goddess of mountain pastures. Ninkura also develops into a young woman in 9 days, and Enki again believes he sees his beloved Ninhursag in the girl. He leaves Ninsar for Ninkura, whom he seduces, and she gives birth to a daughter named Utu, the weaver of patterns and life desires. Utu and Enki are happy together for a while, but just as with Ninsa and Ninkura, Enki falls out of love with her once he realizes she is not Ninhursag and leaves her, returning to his work on Earth. Did these kids learn nothing from their mothers? Utu is distraught and calls upon her great-great-grandmother for help, explaining what has happened. Ninhursag tells Utu to wipe Enki's seed from her body and bury it in the earth of Dilmun. Utu does as she is told, and 9 days later, 8 new plants grow from the earth. At this point, Enki returns along with his vizier, Isimud. Passing by the plants, Enki stops to ask what they are, and Isimud plucks from the first and hands it to Enki, who eats it. His own seed. Gross. This, he learns, is a tree plant and finds it so delicious that Isimud plucks the other 7, which Enki also quickly eats. Ninhursag returns and is enraged that Enki has eaten all of the plants. She turns on him the eye of death, curses him, and departs from paradise and the world. Enki becomes sick and is dying, and all the other gods mourn, but no one can heal him except for the one that cursed him, and she cannot be found. A fox appears, one of Ninhursag's animals, who knows where she is and goes to bring her back. Ninhursag rushes to Enki's side, draws him to her, and places his head against her, let's say, lady tunnel, and kisses him and asks him where the pain is. And each time he tells her, she draws the pain into her body and gives birth to another deity. In this way, 8 new deities are born. Abu, god of plants and growth; Nintula, lord of Magan, governing copper and precious metals; Ninsitu, goddess of healing and consort to Ninazu; Ninkasi, goddess of beer and my personal favourite; Nanshe, goddess of social justice and divination; Azimwa, goddess of healing and wife of Ningishida of the underworld; Emshag, lord of Dilmun and fertility; Ninti, the lady of the rib who gives life. Enki is healed and repents for his carelessness in eating the plants and thoughtlessness in seducing the girls. Ninhursag forgives him, and the two return to the work of creation. What's amazing about this story is that it demonstrates the unmatched power of Ninhursag, as she was capable of inflicting a deadly curse on an all-powerful god, a curse that no other but herself could heal. Also, it gives us an insight into her immeasurable powers of forgiveness, taking back her husband who had affairs with her daughter, granddaughter, and great-granddaughter. It's a bit messed up. Could you forgive that? There's one more prominent creation myth that once again involves the 2 deities from above. However, in this tale, Ninhursag goes by her pre-Lady of the Mountain name, Nima. Thankfully, there's no incest or adultery here. You're welcome. The story begins with the younger gods, tired and weary from their endless toils. They are forced to dig canals and harvest fields and engage in all kinds of menial labour, which prevents them from greater work or any kind of leisure. They cry out to Enki to do something to help them, but Enki, represented as a supreme god, is resting after the effort of creation and will not wake. Enki's mother, Namu, hears their cries and carries their tears to Enki, waking him. Enki is annoyed with the request, but consents to his mother's wishes that he create beings who will ease the god's burden. He asks her to work with Nima and other fertility goddesses to create human beings and give them life. Upon the successful creation of humanity, Enki holds a great party in celebration. The older gods praise his wisdom. The younger gods are relieved of their labours. Enki and Nima sit drinking beer together and eventually become quite drunk. Lightweights. Under the influence, Nima challenges Enki to a contest of sorts, saying how the humans' bodies, Enki's design, may be either good or bad, but their fates will be good or bad depending entirely on her will. Enki accepts her challenge, saying, "Whatever fate you decide, good or bad, I will improve it. Let the games begin." Nimar makes a man whose hands are weak, and Enki improves his life by making him a servant to the king, meaning he would not need to steal to survive. She then makes a man and blinds him, but Enki improves his life by giving him the gift of music and making him the minstrel to the king. The same pattern goes on with Nimar giving Enki greater and greater challenges, which he meets. She finally creates a being with no reproductive organs, but Enki finds a place for this person as a eunuch in the king's palace. Nimar grows frustrated and throws her next lump of clay to the ground, but Enki picks it up full of confidence and resumes the game, telling her how he will now fashion a creature and she must improve its fate as he has done. He creates a man afflicted in every area of his body and hands it to Nimar. She tries to feed it, but it cannot eat. Neither can it stand, walk, talk, or function in any way. She says to Enki, "You cheat. The man you have fashioned is neither alive nor dead. He cannot support himself." Enki then reminds her of all the challenges she gave him, which he surmounted without complaining. Unfortunately, we don't know her response to this because the tablet where the story is written is broken. If she's anything like my wife, however, I'm sure that Enki would have been treated to a death stare. According to the rest of the myth, Enki won the contest with Nimar accepting defeat. This made Nimar lose her status as a deity equal to Enki. However, her followers still viewed her as a powerful deity they could rely on in difficult times for protection and guidance. That's Ninhursag then, a goddess of many, many, many names, but powerful and loving nonetheless. What are your thoughts on her, and who's your favourite deity from Mesopotamian mythology? Let us know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, we'd really appreciate it if you like and subscribe as we release new content every week. Be sure to check out our clothing brand, Pantheon Apparel. It features designs inspired by mythologies from across the world, including Mesopotamian and, of course, Ninhursag. We ship worldwide and are rated excellent on Trustpilot. You'll find a link in the description. Click on the video on the left here to watch a video that YouTube has chosen for you. And on the right here is our binge playlist, if you want to go on a journey across the pantheons. But most important of all, thanks for watching. See you on the next one.